Hands is the first order of business. And press hard. How do you know you're stopping it? There's no more bleeding.
When someone is bleeding to death, you have a very short window of time that can easily be way shorter than the fastest first responder could get there. If you happen to be in a place where there's another individual that's been trained, all of a sudden we have a way to get the right medicine to prevent your death to you, and we have a life saved.
We're trying to get out basic information on how to stop bleeding by the use of tourniquets or use of gauze or hemostatic agents. Teaching the public this stuff is huge because I'm also a full-time law enforcement officer, and it does take us time to get to incidents. So, you know, the crucial minutes or the first few minutes of when something happens, and any civilian can be a lifesaver by stopping that bleeding. The tourniquet's going to be placed up high, closer towards the groin, not close to the injury site. And what we want to do is just bring this around, come back through the buckle, pull that tight as best we can, and then we use the windlass that's on here. We're going to tension this down to the point of which the bleeding stops, right? So people will ask, how many turns do you do? That depends, and we're just going to do this until the bleeding itself stops. Once we see the bleeding has stopped, we're going to put a time on there to show what time this tourniquet was applied, and then we're going to move on to check the victim for any other injuries.
This is about making a decision to be able to intervene if you have the opportunity.
You can actually put this over your arm like this, and we teach this in the military and for law enforcement. You have to slide it up, throw it on quickly, and secure it.
Just like when we pushed hard to teach people CPR when they encountered someone who had a cardiac arrest, we want to push this training out, these interventions out, because it's felt that these interventions can be learned by non-otherwise trained bystanders or civilians and applied appropriately.
So for wound packing, so if it's a gunshot wound or it could be some sort of a penetrating trauma wound, this is where we want to take some sort of gauze, or it could be a hemostatic agent like Quick Clot that helps to stop the bleeding faster. We want to take this product and we want to try to press it down into the wound cavity and hold pressure. And then what we're going to do with the rest of it is we're going to continuously push pressure down into that cavity and fill it up, and it causes what they call a tamponade. It overcomes the pressure of that artery. I'm just going to keep doing it until it starts coming out the top. I'm going to put pressure on it afterwards. Once you do that, you use something like an ACE bandage is great if you have it. This is a pressure dressing. This just goes over the top and then secures around the actual wound. And we just want to basically keep going around, and that's going to hold that in place and hold the product down inside that wound cavity, keeping pressure on it. The big hope is that we can train as many people as possible. Programs are held through here, through Hartford Hospital. Programs are held American Red Cross. There's a number of first aid programs that talk about bleeding control and this sort of thing. And this is a life skill. This is no different than if you should be able to swim to save your own life. You should be able to stop bleeding. It should be a life skill. This shouldn't be something that's optional.